I'm Lou Campbell, and I'm a counselling psychotherapist, a mental health first aid instructor, and co-founder of Wellbeing Partners. And I am so delighted to be joined today by the awesome central midfielder for Everton and England under 21s, Tom Davies. Welcome, Tom.
Hi. Hello, everyone. We're all doing well.
So, Tom, how have you seen awareness of mental health and mental health issues grow over the past few years?
Yeah, I think for me, there's definitely been more awareness being created around the situation, especially in football. And I think people are starting to think about it more now. For me, it's sort of come around quick and something I've been involved with through Everton and in the community. And something that's important that we all talk about and find as much information out as we can, because we've all got mental health in the terms, but it's just some is not as great as others, and it's important that we recognise this and we try and keep her as healthy as we can. Yeah.
How do you think COVID, lockdown, the pandemic has affected the mental health of the men that you know, not just footballers, but like other men that you know too?
For the men in my life and for people around me, it's been difficult. We all know that. I think it's really hard for men in this situation.
Have you seen colleagues, other players suffer because they've been attacked for being different or perceived for being different in any way?
Yeah, I think so. I think the huge one at the minute is it's obviously racism in football, and you don't understand what that's doing to a person's mental health off the pitch. And as much as people are strong and they might say it might not affect them, if you're reading these comments and letting them lie in the back of your mind, and if you don't deal with them or these situations aren't dealt with by higher authorities, then they're going to play on people's minds, and you're going to find people falling into I don't know, stressful situations, bit of depression or wherever it may lead to. So I think that's the big one at the minute. And also, if people aren't really playing well and they're getting some stick maybe from fans or wherever, then you can tell them people aren't themselves. And what we're talking about here is sort of making their aware, getting our awareness around talking up and speaking about how you feel and showing that it's okay and that you don't have to take it all on by yourself, which is, it's important that we do with the racism in football. And I think it's being highlighted a lot more now, online abuse. But yeah, I think it's clear for us all that needs to change. And yeah.
Thank you for highlighting that. Tom, I'd like to run through some mental health statistics in the UK with you now, if that's okay. In the UK, government surveys show that men report significantly lower life satisfaction than women. Men are almost 3 times more likely than women to be dependent on alcohol. Men are far more likely than women to misuse drugs and to die from drug use. So, painting a pretty grim picture there, but actually there's some really hard-hitting statistics that I want to share with you now. And just a warning that I'm going to talk a little bit about suicide here. Suicide is the #1 cause of death for men aged 19 to 49 in the UK. That's a big span, big age span, #1 cause of death. And men are actually 3 times more likely, roughly 3 times more likely than women to kill themselves in the UK.
Yeah.
Does that surprise you?
It's really interesting that these stats are showing that it seems to be men that feel like they can't maybe speak out about it or reach out for help.
Statistics also show that men are far less likely than women to access emotional support from their friends, from their relatives, from their community. And men are far less likely than women to reach out and seek professional support. That could be like from their GP, from a counsellor, from a cognitive behavioural therapist, CBT. Men are far less likely to reach out for that professional support if they're concerned about their mental health. So what prevents men, in your opinion, from seeking help when they're struggling or not coping? What's going on there with men?
Admitting that you're in a bad place to me as a man, maybe. I feel like I'm much better with it now, but at one point it was sort of like I couldn't do it, or not that I couldn't do it, it would be the wrong thing for me to do because I'm supposed to be strong as a man, know where I'm meant to be, how my life's meant to be going. I'm supposed to be a provider, which is not the case. But it's the way sort of people see themselves, and I think that's one big reason. And I think for me, again, speaking to family, I didn't want to upset my mum and speak to my mum or dad maybe about saying, "Listen, I'm not in a great place here. I didn't want to worry them." And to friends, the same. I didn't want to be speaking to your friends about things that you're worried about and sort of giving them that your own burden. But where I had to come and realise was that they care for me more than anyone, and if there's anyone that I could tell, it would be them. And sometimes when you do get speaking to friends about things that are going on, they've got just as many problems. So that's something that I realised, that when you speak to your friends and you share problems and you get it off your chest, things don't become as scary, and you can sort of deal with them together. And then again, seeking professional support, I don't know why it is with men, but again, I'm presuming it's sort of that macho status. I shouldn't be feeling this way because I'm a man, or I can't talk about my emotions because I'm a man. I know it runs throughout everybody, and it's a big thing in the world in general, but especially for men, I think it's that not wanting to admit it because it seemed wrong to do, as I'm weak maybe to do, when that's never been the case. I think it's more brave to speak up about these things than letting them slide. Yeah, I think that's massive.
But I want to ask you a little bit about, do you feel as a man, do you feel self-conscious or embarrassed about talking about your feelings?
Sometimes, yeah. I think it can be, even still for me now, it can be a bit daunting if I have to speak about how I feel. But again, I had to come past that thing and go past the point of it, me worrying about how other people would see me, or how I'd sound saying it. And it was
Yeah.
important for me to actually speak to people, and um, it can be embarrassing, but it's something that it makes you the person who you are if you're speaking about these things. And once you become okay with accepting that, and it's all part of a path to sort of make yourself into a better person, and seeking help really just to get yourself better, or even if it's just a small chat to get something off your mind. It shouldn't seem to be embarrassing, but I know it can't feel that way. But once you're speaking about it, it can be a great release, and you soon quickly learn that it's not an embarrassing thing to do. It's just natural human behaviour to talk about these things. Yeah.
How important is the feeling of belonging, do you think, to men and their mental health?
And without that belonging, it can become very lonely. Um, I think loneliness and not knowing who to talk to, not knowing where to get help, not wanting to speak to your friends, it can become, the pressure gets too much for one person. And sort of having that belonging, whether it be for me, for a team, you feel like you can speak to them or talk to them, then that can be a really important thing for people to be able to start to share and start to feel like they're worthy. And I think that's massive in mental health, because loneliness and I feel like nobody cares for you or wants you, I think that can be the worst place to be, and which is also important. I think why we need to speak to each other, check in on friends, check in on family, the men in your life, women in your life too, but just check in and sort of let people know that you care for them and you're there for them, and give them that sort of feeling of belonging, where maybe it's just a text or phone call, meeting somebody in the park, wherever, but just letting them know that you care for them, and that they are there. I think that's really important for us all to do. Yeah.
What message can you send to the men and boys watching this who might be in distress, crisis, or really struggling with their mental health, especially those who feel embarrassed or awkward about getting help, about, you know, about admitting that they're not okay? What message can you send to those men and boys?
Yeah, I think for me it'd be to tell them that it's okay to feel the way that you're feeling. That's It's a normal thing to feel down or feel sad. It just, you don't have to deal with them things on your own, which is the really sad part, that people think that they have to solve all the problems on their own, when it's not the case. If you speak to somebody professionally, speak to a friend that's been through the same situation, a family member who knows how you're feeling, or you can just get the weight off your chest to them.
Thank you so much for your time today. Really appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you for having me, and lovely to meet you.
Thank you.